Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nehru. You're tuned in to The Encourager, and I hope you're doing well wherever you find yourself, whenever you find yourself listening in. And the purpose of the channel is to be an encouragement and enlightenment for the speakers as well as the listeners. And again, I remind you that you're more than welcome to put your comments in the comment section or questions or what have you, right? So thank you so much for tuning in. Our subscribers, happy to say actually that it seems stagnant there for a minute with the subscribers, but it's picked back up. We've picked up a few more in the last couple of days, so thank you very much, whoever you new subscribers are. Certainly appreciate it. And again, I return that, or I send to you unconditional love. I assume you're sending me unconditional love. But regardless, I send you unconditional love. And, that includes those who are for what the collective is doing and those who are not. And so, although I'd like to choke the hell out of my enemies at the same time, I'm thankful for the lessons that they taught me. So just know that if that's you, people have an assumption that Yeshua, because he's the most prominent spiritual figure, and he's a spiritual figure, not a religious figure. Okay, he's an ascended master. Okay, you will never find the words ascended master between Genesis and Revelation. Why? Because man doesn't want you to know that you can be an ascended master. True facts. Okay, 45 books removed from the Bible, the Vatican and all these other places hide them. Okay, Roman Catholic Church changed the Bible and its words. I mentioned the other day when I was speaking about the Ark and Noah and sharing several facts and things that we've been lied to in those pictures. I heard someone say the other day, and again, it is useless to even mention the color of a skin when talking about someone or describing someone unless you are saying it to distinguish them from amongst the crowd, right? So if I have a bunch of yellow bananas and then there's one green one, then I would have the need to say the green banana, okay? But if it's just a bunch of bananas, it's just a bunch of humans, do I really need to distinguish between the slightly brighter yellowish, canary yellow, sun bright star burstish one? Like, do I really need to get into all of that? But I heard someone say something the other day, which is really, really interesting. And it is the way that the Roman Catholic Church has created this system, this religious system. Okay? Yeah, and this is every denomination. It doesn't matter. Baptist, Catholic, non-denominational, Methodist, Pentecostal, Mormon, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, whatever you want, every religion, all of it is trash. All of it. Okay? And here's why. Because you were never meant to function within a religious rule book. You were never meant to function that way. Okay? And this person said, they said, it's interesting what man has done with spirituality. Okay? So man's removed 45 books from the Bible. Man paints a picture of an ark with animals going onto the ark 2 by 2. That's only half the truth because those are the unclean animal. Okay? It was 7 of every clean bird and then 7 of every 7 of every bird and then 7 of every clean animal. So fish, right? Which is something that's never really talked about. So I'm just thinking about this. They'd had to build some type of fish tanks or something in order to contain, or I guess it was a flood. So maybe the fish were okay in the water. I don't know. I guess it's maybe beasts of the field, maybe is the animals that were on, not of the water. So, and so they said Man shows you a white man with blonde hair, blue eyes, looking like he's a model. They show you a picture of the Last Supper. All of them are Caucasian. They show you a picture of the Ark. There's only 2 by 2, right? Instead of showing you the full picture of 7 by 7 and the unclean of 2 by 2. They've dumbed down the Bible to be 66 books, when in fact there are at least 114. So man has done all this shit, and still the vast majority of the world functions under that system. Still. Right? And the reason why I say the race thing is because when I talk about a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus that the Roman Catholics has painted to be him, first of all, that's not the image of him. That's for certain. People of that skin color was not born in that region of the country, right? Or of the world, okay? Historically, we know that. They were olive-skinned people, okay? Olive-skinned people, okay? This is why the people of today who follow religion are blindly following the Antichrist, because religion is the Antichrist. What is the Antichrist? The Antichrist is anything that is against the truth. What's the truth? The truth is to include all 45 of those books and then whatever else we find in the future. That's the truth, right? But man's not going to do that, so you and I have to do that on our own. And I do plan on doing that. I heard someone say several months ago that they've been guided to rewrite the Bible. And I don't know, I'm not in communication with that individual, on a personal basis, but that's one, that's quite an undertaking. And two, it's profound and absolutely necessary. Again, because of the propaganda and garbage that man has done in order to keep humans, or I'll say it the other way around, what humans have done in order to keep man down. Okay? Because God created man. Humans are the ones that run the world today for the most part. Those are the secret societies. Okay? That's what humans are today. So today I thought I would, after that 7:33, as I looked at the timer, that long introduction, but I'm here to help us become our highest, truest, purest version of ourselves, and that includes myself. And again, I am definitely my hardest critic, my best and worst. I am my best cheerleader, and I am my, I am my own drill sergeant. And so I want to actually go over some more of my journal this week and kind of pick up where I left off the other day. Okay. So we left off, I don't know, a couple of pages ago. So we left off here, right? And I was talking about how I, first time in 2003, I left, my family, brothers, the religious, sperm donor and all the church and all of that, right? That he had in Apopka, Florida, to be a part of the Rock of Central Florida in Sanford, Florida. But I was getting out of the military from military intelligence school, but I knew where divine was guiding me, and I knew it was to the Rock, and no one could talk me out of it. And that's how strong we need to be about our convictions, about our purpose, about where we're going. We need to be willing to be so confident about where you're going that no one can deter you. No one can talk you out of it. Okay? Someone can come up to you and they be like, hey, I'll give you $1 million if you don't do what you know the Lord is trying. I'll give you 10 million. I'll give you 5 million. I'll give you whatever, right? I'll give you this house. I'll give you this car. I'll give you this whatever, right? Absolutely not, right? Do not forsake your purpose for anything or anyone. Okay? This is why I know that women, you don't need the banana. Men, you don't need the cat. or the peach, or the however you want to put it, right? This is how I know you don't need those things in order to fulfill your purpose. This is how I know. Okay, because those things are often deterrents. Trust me. You've been there, done that. Quite literally. Been there, done them, maybe is the better way to say that. So anyway, all right, so Mother's Day. In the greatest moments of temptation, resist. I seek, find, apply. I wasn't even looking at that when I was talking. I was looking out the window. Yeah. And so let's take a look at a couple of dreams. Oh, so here's an interesting thing. So 5/22/15. My daughter, my eldest daughter, her name is Alexis. She graduated from Lake Howell High School in Winter Park, Florida. And her mother and I actually went to that school. So she was the second generation, right? That was a great day. And I remember the picture. I've changed Facebook accounts since then, so I've lost a lot of history, a lot of pictures and stuff like that. But I remember the picture. I was joking on Facebook, and I had a box of Kleenex in my hand, and I was like, please feel free to send Kleenex to to me and all of that. Again, I was a lot more social back then. I had no boundaries back then. I really didn't. I was a bit more, I would say, carefree, but careless also. Okay. Okay. So I am destroying every generational curse released upon my life. I didn't know what I was going through. I didn't know what I was going to be going through on 5/27/15. I was still doing dialysis. But again, I've always been passionate. I've always been a soldier, right? And as I look back at these journal entries, I definitely see that I was being prophetic in my own life. One of my favorite probably the favorite message, I have probably two or three, favorite message in 20 years of hearing Steve Parker speak at the Rock of Central Florida. One of those messages is prophesy, son of man, prophesy. And another one is the milk is in the fridge. Yeah. So prophesy, son of man, prophesy. So as I look through these notes, journal entries, I am encouraged and often kind of surprised. Again, this particular journal covering 2014 to 2017. The man says the mind is a terrible thing to waste. The mind is a terrible thing. Waste it. Okay, so get out of your head, right? And that's basically what I was saying. So I might have been needing to get out of my head and whatever I was going through. I was married at this time, and it was not going well. I will say that. Okay, it was not going well. At this point, she had decided, or actually long before, no, I was not married at this point. No. I was not married. I was thinking this was 16. No, a year after I would be married later this year, later in 2015. Okay. So let me read this. That we battle and bow to on the way up will be the very thing or things that knock us off the mountain. Destroy them now. Okay? So if you have hidden childhood wounds is the first thing that comes to mind, right? Childhood wounds that you haven't dealt with. If you continue to think that you're going to get through life and you're just going to kick that can down the road, life one day is going to show you that you're going to have to address those issues. Okay? That's the way I'm seeing that today. So you're like, oh yeah, my uncle messed with me when I was a kid, and just kick it down the road, right? Then you get into relationships and you find out why relationships are not working out. You are not opening yourself up. You are emotionally distant. You are unsure about your sexuality or what have you, right? If you don't heal that childhood wound, or it could be an adult one, whatever it is, adolescent, if you don't heal that wound, it will come back and it will bite you. It will challenge you and it will be a hindrance to you. Okay? We are the only common denominator in every relationship we have. We are. Not the other person, because we are not them. Okay? We are the common denominator. All right? And let's take a look at what this is. I'm just looking, making sure, like, people's names and things. I'm not trying to... People who I want to put on blast, I have no problem putting on blast. But there are some people that obviously don't want to do that, too. Okay. So, here's some desires that I had on 5/31 of 15. Okay? And that date is extremely significant, right? So 5 times 3 is 15. This is how my mind works with numbers. 5 times 3 is 15, right? And then so you can change that any number of ways. That's how I see that. You know, my mind works. I don't know, I just think like that with numbers, and it changes them around for synchronicities and things. Adds, subtracts, multiplies, divides. So some desires that I had on 5/31/15. To travel the world, advising leaders, that's very interesting. I do certainly believe, and actually I know that I am on that track today. Own multiple businesses, I will one day again, and no one will take them from me like the karmic ass Scorpio did. To have Alexis be my right, that's my daughter, right? She has her own journey. And I speak the way that I do in regards to parents and their relationship with their adult children. I speak that way for a reason, because that's the way I handle her, right? She can come to me for advice whenever she feels like it. Okay? I'm not hunting her down. I'm not keeping track of her. I'm not tracking her phone. She's more than a quarter of a century old. I'm not doing that. She's a grown-ass woman. You know what I'm saying? Me and her mother, raised her as best we thought possible for the time that she was under our authority. That's it. They're not under your authority when they move out of your house. Okay? You need to switch to an advisor. You're not their authority anymore. Okay? It's between them and Most High. So stop riding them. Live to the natural. I just remembered something. Oh, I'm going to have to share that at the end. Yeah, I'm going to have to share that at the end. Live to the natural age of 140. So, this is interesting. So I was told, man, how long ago? I was told at some point that the things that the locusts have stolen will be returned to you, right? Kim, who is Steve Parker's wife, he's the senior minister at the Rock of Central Florida in Sanford, Florida. And she told me, I don't know, within a year that I'd gotten to the Rock in 2003, she told me that everything that my father forfeited is coming to me, right? What she did not tell me, as the clock strikes exactly 19 minutes when I look at it, as she told me that, what I didn't realize in 2003, it meant that I was going to have to go through the same things he avoided or he chose not to go through, the ascension process, in order for me to achieve that, in order to me to receive that. Okay, she told me that everything that your father's forfeited is coming to you. In later years, probably around 2014 or so, I don't know if I'd already started dialysis treatments. I remember I went to her one day, and we had a very, very good communicable relationship. I mean, we were talking. I gave her a journal. I bought her a journal one time. I bought her and Steve. I was in Atlanta for about 6 months. It was supposed to be for 2 years, but Most I had other plans, and I was sick, and I knew it, but I wasn't aware of what it was because I hadn't been to a VA hospital or anything yet. I hadn't had any blood work yet because it had not gotten extreme yet, but it was going to, and it was just a couple of months away. So I relocated back to Atlanta after a guy I grew up with, and I consider a brother. I met him when he was 6 months old in 1985, and his mother was 18 apart, and she was, and her sister were sucked in and manipulated through witchcraft into that situation. So anyway, I was up there in Atlanta with him for about 6 months. Again, it was supposed to be 2 years. I couldn't find anything here. It was during the Great Depression in the early 2010s. And so I went up to Atlanta within 12 hours of getting there, let's say 18. Within 18 hours of getting there, I couldn't find a job here for 6 months. For 6 months. In fact, this was one of the times that I was homeless. I was living in my car. It was a nice car. It was a Mercedes, but I was living in my car. And so I remember I had just enough money, and it was a Sunday. I had just enough money. I calculated, I looked on the phone, you do that AAA trip calculation, right, for mileage. And he was 9 hours away in Norcross, Georgia, okay, North Atlanta. And I made the decision, and I sent Steve an email and let him know that there's no job here for me. I've been trying and trying and trying, and there's nothing. I literally had gotten to the point to where I was already in the tax industry, but I had incorporated my first company, but it just, I don't know, it was the economy. I don't know. It just wasn't going well. It didn't start off well. And so I was homeless, and so everything I had was in my car. I literally took the money that I had and made it up to Norcross, Georgia. Got up there, and like I said, I was there for 6 months. The plan was for 2 years. His company ended up letting 200 plus employees go, including him. He took an opportunity out in San Francisco, and I went back to Florida. All right. And then just a month after that, 2 months after that, I became extremely sick, lost 35 pounds probably in less than a month. Then I knew something was really going on. But anyway, getting back to living to the natural age of 140. So I've always said this, and I said this to Steve in a meeting one time. I said, this is what I believe about my life expectancy. Okay. I said, he promised us 120 years, Moses. And this is after Methuselah, just as a little historical fact. Methuselah, and actually Noah was the last generation to live hundreds of years. Methuselah was actually the stop for that. Noah is his grandson. But when Methuselah passed at 969 years old, Noah lived to be 950 years old. That the flood and then the repopulation of the earth, when that began to happen again, man had fallen yet again, and this time it affected his natural life. So this is why today it's obviously with all the manufacturing and stuff that we consume and all of that sort of thing, that plays into it. But back then it was only spiritual, and this is why he promised Moses that he was only going to live to 120 years, right? I will give man, he said man, not just Moses, 120 years is man's life. And I figured, okay, with his grace and mercy, I've probably screwed up. I told Steve, I said, his grace and mercy will give me back the 20 years that I screwed up. That's what I told him, right? But this is what I know about this today, okay? Everything that the locust has stolen, just like Kim said, right, is coming back to me. But I had to go through the challenges and things that he avoided in order to get that prize. So the years that he was supposed to live, I'm not going to say what that number was. I do know what that number was based on what Most High has given me. All right. Those number of years will be added to my years. In my previous life, I was unalived at the age of 48. Okay. So again, your purpose from lifetime to lifetime doesn't change. What changes is is the interaction that you have, or your response within the interactions, your engagement in or avoidance of events, peoples, blah, 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 right? Your choices. Okay. So, again, I felt like I was going to live to be 140. I felt like that before I got to the rock. I felt like that when I was in the military. That was my perspective. You know, I wanted to live to be 140. Why 140? I don't know. That's what I picked. I picked 140 because, I don't know, maybe that was the calculation in my head at that time. What you promised Moses, plus your grace and mercy for me screwing up about 20 years of my life, which, I don't know, I calculated at that time would probably amount to about 20 years worth of screwing up stuff. Okay. So let's get back to the list. That was a very long story. To be more faithful to Yahweh than any man ever. Again, I stated that the other day. And again, that's not based on man's opinion. That's based on Most High's opinion. Okay. Yeshua didn't live as long as I did here. And so I have opportunities to do things that Yeshua did not have opportunity to do. If I choose to be a husband again, and that's a choice, right? I don't have to be, then that's an opportunity Yeshua did not have. Okay. And I talk about Yeshua all the time, but Buddha is an ascended master. Saint Germain is an ascended master. Mother Mary is an ascended master. There are many ascended masters that we can read about, not just the ones who are with us today, but that we can read about. Okay. But again, that word is not in, you won't find that in your Bible. You won't find that in your Bible. To be trusted with billions upon billions of dollars, right? And this is what I know today and why I went to school to study accounting. It was to manage what was going to be coming into me. That's what I know today. It wasn't to be an accountant or CPA for the rest of my life. That would literally kill me if I had to do that. Because I don't find it exhilarating, thrilling. I'm happy when I can get a client a couple bucks back. I just did a couple of tax returns, a 1040 and an 1120S for a client, and she's a realtor and she's getting good amount back, thousands. But you know, that pays the bills. That does nothing for my spirit man other than to know that I did a quality job and they appreciate what I do and they have no problem compensating me for that. Other than that, being an accountant, that does nothing for me spiritually, really. It does nothing. It's a job, essentially, even though I'm self-employed. Okay? So, to own a 6-bedroom house, I don't know if that'll actually ever happen. That seems like a bit much. 4 is sufficient. And so, I said this the other day, to fluently speak 5 languages. So everything that I'm saying, if you want to know how truthful I'm being, all right, if you want to know how truthful I'm being, pay attention. I just said this yesterday, to fluently speak 5 languages. So anybody online, you karmic ass motherfuckers who talking about he's lying, he's not real, he's whatever, right? Check your fucking self. Okay? I wrote this shit on 5/31/15. Okay, not yesterday. Okay. Travel through Africa or other desolate places. At the time, my heart was to bless Steve, or not Steve, but the house, the Rock of Central Florida, with millions of dollars. I believe that was why I was there. I am a financier. One of the names of my companies is Mensarius, and that in Latin means financier, money manager. That's what Mensarius means. Okay, I looked that word up and picked out that name myself. Work with my brother Matthew in business, and this was always been a goal. He passed on 8/4/21 at the age of 45. That's a death that either needs to be investigated. If it's not, Judy said that she has someone looking into it. I highly doubt that. I was going to say something really mean about her. I shouldn't do that. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. I'll have a little mercy. And so, yeah, that was a hope and desire of mine back then. Okay, so May was a very challenging month for some reason back then. And I wrote down some goals about purchasing this or purchasing that. Government, education, business. Okay, so what is this? Most people are cooped up in their own little selfish worlds, of which most are not as significant as we believe we are. So what does that mean? So most people are so isolated within themselves that they don't notice the synchronicities happening all around them. They don't notice the little boop, boop, boop. They don't notice those things, right? Because they're functioning, they're sleepwalking. They're functioning so unconsciously, right, that they don't notice the truth when someone said it. They were standing right in front of them and they gave them the clue to tell them what to do in regards to that situation, right? They gave them an analogy. They spoke into their life some truth, right? They're so clouded, they're so in their own world that they don't. And this is what this often looks like, and this is the image that I'm getting. So take that young father that's 17, 18, 19. It's a tumultuous relationship with this woman that he has this child with. This is what I'm seeing, okay? This woman that he has this child with, she is going to work. She leaves him at home with the kid, okay? Or she goes to school, right? She leaves him at home with the kid. He's on meth, he's on whatever. She knows this, that's a huge part of their issue. Both of them are on it, but she manages to be a functioning being, let's say. And it could be the other way around. Excuse me, again, burping confirmations. And so let's say she leaves to go to work, comes home, comes to find out he's unalived their child or children. Okay? And police investigators walk in and the house is horrific, right? Feces everywhere, dogs running everywhere, insects, nasty ass diapers, right? That type of life. And you hear these stories online or on the news. And if you don't, then yeah. Because I don't hear them on the news. I hear them on YouTube when I watch like murder cases and things like that, which I do watch often because man's choices just intrigues me. It just intrigues me why you would. I only want to choke the fuck out of my enemies. Okay? Right? If you haven't done anything to me, I have nothing but unconditional love for you. Okay? And you could be a stranger on the street. Okay? I have no problem with that, right? So Yeshua or Yahweh said to hate what he hates and love what he loves. So those of you who are thinking you shouldn't hate, well, fuck you. And then when you get unalived by someone who hates you because your guards are down, yeah, then you'll have to talk to me through the 5D 33333 as I look at the clock. Then you'll have to talk to me through the 5D and tell me how you did not pay attention to the indicators. Okay? So most people are way, way too focused on the 3D because they're buried. Okay? And so in that situation, right, there were all kinds of indications. All kinds of indications. One thing that I hope to change in law is a restraining order. We need to come up with another system, some other monitoring system or something, because filing a piece of paper to tell someone to stay away from you does not do a motherfucking thing. Law enforcement, police officers, judges, whoever, lawmakers, right? Whoever, politicians, a restraining order doesn't do a thing. And if you don't believe me, talk to the one who just lost her daughter or her son to the psycho that had the protective order placed against them. And the sorry-ass motherfucking police officers, they're dumbass, they're making calls saying, hey, he's doing this, hey, she's doing this, and they sweep the shit under the rug. Well, there's nothing we can do. It's like waiting 24 hours before you report a child missing. Get off your fucking ass and go find that motherfucking child. Get me lit. Don't get me lit. I'm telling you, this is the bullshit processes, and they are bullshit processes that man has in place that keeps fucking over us. Why? Because the truth of the matter is, Biden couldn't care less. And I don't know why people say could care less. I could care less. No, it's could not care less. I couldn't care less. Because if you could care less, it wouldn't bother you so much. Right? But when you couldn't care less, you're at the end of caring. Okay, let's get our language straight. I'm not an English professor, and I don't speak perfect English. Again, I use whatever, ebonics and all that stuff too when I get lazy or when I get upset or stirred or whatever. I use ain't and double negatives and no, you ain't gonna do that. Yeah, sure, right, whatever, right? But it's I couldn't care less, not I could care less, all right? So yeah, don't, you want to get me stirred? Let's talk about the carelessness of the law and the legal system. It's not a justice system. I say that all the time. Okay, let's talk about that system, and you'll get some steam coming out my ears and some pretty strong words. Okay, so if the giant, and that up there, I don't know, it's about vehicles or something. If the giant that is our greatest fight is defeated, if this battle is won by us, this will be our legacy, right? So that whatever that giant is in the wall or in the room. So people talk about the pink elephant in the room, right? And that is the obvious thing that people are trying to avoid. Ooh, I don't want to talk about that. And maybe not my parents who were born in the 50s, but certainly their parents and then the generations prior, they were good at sweeping shit under the rug. Oh, Uncle Jim Bob messed with you when you were 12. Let's sweep that shit under the rug. Let's just sweep that under the rug. We're not going to talk about that, Susie. We're not going to mention that. No, we just sweep that shit under the rug. Right? We're not going to talk about that, Bob. We're just going to sweep that shit under the rug. Never mind that your Aunt Karen fondled you when you were 9, and she did until you were 14. We're just going to sweep that shit under the rug. Right? Okay. So, whatever that giant is in your life, and it could be anything. It could be discipline. It could be financial structure. It could be emotional structure. Again, it could be healing childhood wounds. It could be getting out of religiousness and getting into spirituality. It could be forsaking your family for the love of the truth. It could be forsaking your spouse for the love of, yes, I said that, for the love of the truth. It could be forsaking your children for the love of the truth. It could be walking off of a job that has been proven useless for the last 10, 15, 5, 3, 4 years, that you finally said, you know what, enough is enough. I see that this is really no longer serving me. I can do anything and pay my bills. What I need is something that's fulfilling. Okay? And so whatever that big giant is, for me, that big giant was me living truly who I am. I've always known who I am. I've always known that I was a chosen one. I've always known that I was born on the 333rd day of the year. I've always known that, or I've always known certain things. I've always known that I've been intuitive. I've always known that I was a healer. I've always known that I'm extremely connected to animals. I've always known that I'm definitely okay walking alone. Dun, 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 dun. I walk alone. I walk alone. Dun, 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 dun. Walk alone, I walk my shadows, only one that walks beside me. Right? I'm good to walk alone. And everybody really needs to be good to walk alone again. Anything added to you is just the icing on the cake. You are 100 yourself. Okay? So kill those giants. Destroy those giants. Whatever that giant is. Because if you don't, it will keep you where you are in stagnation, complacency, religion, not in a church, but doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Right? Most call that the definition of insanity. Religiousness is the definition of insanity. Okay, so let's take a look. Today, I've been and feel devastated. Okay, so this is Yahweh can undo what the enemy has done and tried to keep. Release it all in the name of Yeshua the Christ. I command you, devil, release it. Sorry, I'm trying to read my own handwriting. I have words that run together. Release it all, which is important. You have no father, you bastard child. So I was talking to the enemy. I was definitely going through something that day. Right? I was probably having maybe a tough dialysis treatment day. I was having some trouble. Yeah, I was definitely going through something, and the enemy was thinking it was coming against me, and I'm sure that was witchcraft. It was witchcraft from the enemy. And again, it could be your parent, your child. It could be, and your son or daughter. It could be your child. It could be a young child. I did date someone, and I told them that your child, that the way that their child changed personalities, I told them that their child, that's a demon. They didn't believe me. 6:13:15. One day you will dance with me in glory. For now, dance where you are. Okay? And that's so important to be in the moment. Okay? Not every moment's perfect. Not every moment's all fluffy and cotton candy. Cotton candy, or however that goes. Candy-ish. However that goes. But yeah. Right? Now think about basic training, or boot camp in the military, and it wasn't all fun, but it wasn't meant to be. They're trying to change your disposition. They're trying to change you from a civilian to a soldier. So of course it's not going to be. It's meant to be difficult, right? Because most civilians are extremely undisciplined. Again, I talk all the time about how disappointed I am in the civilian sector. And that's why that transition was so difficult for me, because the lack of accountability out here is absurd. It's ridiculous. And again, that's through law enforcement who structures themselves like the military. Y'all sorry asses ain't like the military. You have no accountability, or little accountability, law enforcement, right? You're not like the military. Okay. And so yet within that, I enjoyed, one, the camaraderie amongst the other guys that I was in boot camp with, okay? I remember my battle buddy, his name is Jason Smith, and he was from Las Vegas. And I was like, wow, I was 20 when we met at basic training, and I never met anyone from Vegas. And so at 20, I thought it was great that my battle buddy that slept... I don't know if I slept on the top bunk or I think he slept on the top bunk. Maybe. I can't remember. But we slept in the first bunk to the right in that Charlie Company. I was going to say Charlie Company 246. I'll have to check and see if that's correct. That's immediately what came to mind. My memory's pretty good with numbers. So yeah, but it was at Fort Knox. And, but so I did enjoy, there were great times in those times, in that challenging situation. Okay. All right. So let's go. 6:15. Obedience without understanding is perhaps the greatest form of sonship. Okay. And so we don't always have complete understanding. And this is certainly true as we go through the dark night of the soul and our spiritual ascension. We are going through things, and we are going to experience things, joint aches and all sorts of things physically, and then you're going to start to time travel and timeline jump, and then you're going to start to have these supernatural experiences and things like that. You'll start to see orbs, and you'll have all these magical experiences, right? And both spiritually and manifested in the 3D, right? And so understanding isn't always possible. One of the things that the military says is you are on the need to know basis. And while I don't agree with the strong arm of that necessarily, right? Because I have, like, the point guard needs to know what the forward's going to do, and the forward needs to understand what the point guard's going to do. So there is a need for everybody to know what everyone's doing at times. There is a need for that. So I don't use that like in a this is my house kind of way, you know. I use that as a there are times when we need to know what other people are doing, who we are in, right? You're on a project. You're a project manager. You are into Six Sigma type of projects and things like that. You need to know what everyone is doing. Okay? So, yeah. But anyway, obedience without understanding is sometimes necessary. Okay? If Most High gave us, we learned this from Bruce Almighty, the movie, starring Jim Carrey. If Most High gave us everything that we wanted all at once, it'd be overwhelming. We couldn't handle it. Right? And for most of us, it's because we do things that are confusing to Most High. I had that conversation with a gentleman at the Rock one day. I used to ask him all the time, how are you doing? Right? How's everything going? And he wasn't there frequently. And when I say frequently, not every week, right? He had to work and all that and family to take care of and blah, blah, blah. But when he was there early on, I would ask him, how you doing? And this week he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just, just still looking for a job and just hoping the Lord blesses me and, yeah, okay. Talk to him next week. Hey, how's it going? Hey, oh, good. Got a job, but man, they're working me like 60 hour. Like you can't. Okay, so you can't complain and pray. You can't do that. Okay. Right? So if you're going to pray, don't complain. If you're going to complain, don't pray. Got it? Good. Get it? Got it? Good. Right? And so, let's see. Focus. Just do it. No understanding, no self-generated expectations. See? Right? My mind wants to quit. My passion will not allow that. Okay? Because they hate me, they will hate you. I'm telling everything. I'm not even looking at this before. Confirmations can't come fast enough. Or faster. I mean, it's just, I say it and it's 60 seconds later and there's a confirmation around the corner, When we say, your kingdom come, your will be done, this is not a party or a day of tra-la-la-la-lying through the tulips. The kingdom suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. This is why, or at least in part, the reason why I am the way that I am. So here's a book that I'm going to write one day, and I really am going to write this book, Judy. Okay? And the name of this book is called Oh Mommy. When I was growing up, I used to call her Mommy. And in fact, I called her Mommy until probably about 2015. Probably. Right? And it says, my mom is thrown in the towel. And we had a conversation at this time, and she was giving up. Right? And so it's interesting. Yesterday, I shared that story about my friend Michelle, who had that dream, and she asked me if my mom was saved. Do you see how that's coming together? This is 9 years ago. Okay. Where does motivation come from? Okay. What drives one depresses another. Isn't that interesting? taking the, what's that word? Oh, punches. Taking the punches only does not make us courageous. So if you just sit there as a punching bag, you got to stand up for yourself at some point, right? Grow a pair, as they say. It makes us a punching bag. I punch back. Okay? So growing up, she dealt with depression. And we would sometimes have to just, our only interaction with her, me, my brother, and my sister in the projects of Joliet, Illinois, was to just interact with her through the door. We slide things under the door or whatever, right? We'd ask her something, and I remember she used to always ask us, you probably did this with your parents, try to ask for things that you know they will probably say no to. You try to ask it to them while they're asleep. Ask them while they're asleep. So we would ask her if we can go over to my aunt's house my aunt passed on 10/22/23. She just passed on recent couple of months at the age of 69. Love you, Auntie Carol, and bless you. And so, but we would ask her if we can go over to her house, and we'd ask her, can I have another piece of whatever, cake or cupcake? She was a baker. She had a little store in the projects. She had a little store that she would make cupcakes and little icy cups and all that stuff for when we were growing up, and made a little change. So she had a side hustle. And so, yeah. But she dealt with depression, and most likely because of shit that Kevin had done to her. Probably. Yeah, probably. They met in 1972. Okay. And he was promiscuous from the beginning. She said he was never a monogamous man. He was never a committed man. All right. Oh, so that reminds me, I'm going to finish up this page. I'm going to say what I'm going to say now because it seems like an opportune time to say so. So the other day on Facebook, I couldn't believe it. A woman reached out to me, and I made a comment on some post, right, on some video. She contacted me and she said, "Is your father Kevin Nehru Thomas?" I said, "Yes." I said, "How do you know that?" She, and I know I'm going to share, I haven't spoken to her yet. We just exchanged messages. When I talk to her, I promise you, I will be posting a video and sharing with you our conversation. Damn. She said, she is the sister-in-law of the first woman I married who left me when I was in Germany to be a part of his cult. She is her sister-in-law. That woman I was married to, her name is Martise, and her maiden name is Gage, G-A-G-E. Okay? This woman is her sister-in-law. Don't ask me. Most High does things that are catastrophic and just, how am I meeting someone online who is the sister-in-law of the woman who left me 30-something years ago, almost 30 years ago, for my father when I was serving our country and fighting for our freedom in another country? She contacts me and she says, "I can't believe what he's done to Kim, who is my daughter," right? Which I already knew. Again, that's why I say I was happy to put his ass away for 40 to 60 years. I was glad to be a part of that process. She says he evidently, and I don't remember her. I don't know if I ever met her, right? But she was talking about his church and how he tried to break up her family and how he tried to do this and he did that and he did this. And she is like just laying it all. And I'm reading these messages that she's sending me through YouTube. And I'm like, what? Like, did we grow up together and I just never knew you or something? Like, how the hell do you know all of this and we've never had a conversation? Right? And this is 2 days ago. So I hope she reaches out to me. I am absolutely looking forward to that conversation. Because you can't explain that other than divine appointment. You can't explain that any other way. None. What are the chances she would come across the video that I'm watching, or I would come across the one that she's watching, and we would find each other? What are the chances? This happened 2 days ago. Yeah. Yep. So, I will die a natural death at 140 or plus years old, having not achieved all I desire, only because the kingdom is ever increasing and I die daily. Okay, so I've said that when it's all said and done, there will be only dust on the shelves of my life. And that is true, because I'm going to exhaust every purpose for which I was birthed here. I'm going to take it all, conquer it all, win it all, get it all, give it all, whatever that is. I'm going to do that before my last breath here, right? And I'll probably just disappear. There probably won't even be a body. Anyway, as much as I might want for her success, and this is talking about, I cannot walk her purpose for her. Okay? And I think this is talking about, this is referring to probably either Judy or Alexis, one or the other, most likely. Okay? Because those were the two people that I was closest to at this time. Okay? So I speak about something here. What is the highest placed for my gifts? I'm not sure. By the way, that up there, dying to one's, dying daily and not having completed everything, that's not everything Most High gives me. See, nothing returns to Most High void. This is why we live multiple lives. So think about this for a minute. And very plain and simple, think about the shit you fucked up in this lifetime. This one lifetime, think about the shit you fucked up. Career offer, job offer. I remember I was working at the Altamont Springs Theater when I was from 16 to 20. And Altamont Springs, Florida, General Cinema Theater. And a couple came in there, and I think I shared the story one other time in a much earlier video, like last year or something. Couple came in. I was behind the concession stand, right, doing my thing, my bow tie vest on and multicolored shirt. Love those uniforms. And I'm just, they're getting popcorn, I'm getting their popcorn, and they just, do you like your job here? And I was like, yeah, it's fun. My best friend was there, all my friends were there, my prom date was there, whose name is Carrie. She's the one who passed in 2017, I mentioned, who I was heavily thinking about yesterday. And I think I shared her picture in one of the videos. She was my prom date. We weren't dating, but I wanted to go to prom with someone. And she was, an amazing person. And one of the glues that held that group together for sure. Because her place was the meeting place. Her parents' house was the meeting place over in Apopka that everyone would gather at, And so, I remember, I forgot where I was going. So think about the things, right, that you've effed up in this lifetime. Okay. The only way to correct those things is for you to come back and have another go in many cases. So if you missed your divine counterpart, your divine contract with your purpose lover, you married someone karmic and you chose to stay with them because you had kids, don't ever stay with a motherfucker for kids. Don't ever stay with anybody for kids. Don't ever, 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 ever stay with anybody for kids. That's an anchor, and a false one, okay? Because they're using you for security. Don't ever stay with someone for kids. Don't ever do that. If you are not in love and passionate about the person laying to your right or to your left, get the fuck out of that bed and out of that house. Do not ever stay in a relationship because of a child. You can still have a relationship. There are legal means to go about having a relationship with your children that you do not have to stay in a house and be with someone who is your evil twin, right? You don't have to stay in those situations, okay? Get out of those, right? So we have to come back multiple times because you and I have effed up a number of times in one lifetime. And so that is why things don't go back to him void, because he gives opportunity. If this generation F's it up, he gives it to the next generation. So this is what happened with me. My generation, the generations before me F'd it up, right? Religious ass ministers and witchcraft workers and all of that. So I had to clear my shamanic bloodline. My ancestors didn't get it right. They couldn't do it. So I had to do it. So I'm back for the 10th time on this planet, and finally defeating that. Again, I was unalived at about the age of 48, 47, my last lifetime, probably the last couple of lifetimes, running into the same karmic that keeps following up me from one lifetime to the next, right? And that's the same situation with you. The evil that you dealt with in the last lifetime is the same evil you're dealing with this lifetime. That's how important it is for you to heal your childhood wounds. Okay? All right. So, I'm speaking of being in convergence mode. Oh, talking about resting spiritually, not physically, right? And being in a position of rest as opposed to, again, just being lazy. Honor my desires of my heart. Okay? And this is how Most High speaks to us. It's through our heart chakra. Right? It's our emotions, it's our feelings. This is why it's so important, I mentioned the other day, to feel. So one of the first steps in manifesting is to feel healed, is to feel wealthy, is to feel inspired, is to feel loved. And all of that has to start from within you. You can't look for an external source first and expect them to heal you. No one healed me but me and Most High. Me saying I don't need dialysis, I'm just here to socialize. That healed me, along with my faith in believing that I did not need dialysis. I was just there to socialize. Okay? That is how you bring things about. Okay? I heard Billy Carson recently talking about prayer. Okay? I don't pray, Dear Heavenly Father, please blah, 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 blah. I don't do that. I don't pray anymore. What I do is either declare or manifest or denounce or return to sender. Okay? I don't pray, Dear Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus. I don't do that. Okay? And he mentioned something about in the name of Jesus, actually, and again, the Roman Catholic Church, they've raped the Bible. R-A-P-E-D. Don't block my video because I said R-A-P-E-D, YouTube. But he talked about how that is praying to Zeus, right? Because the kingdom is within you. And this is what Yeshua tried to tell us the entire time that he was here. And every other ascended master. Buddha said, as you think you are. Buddha said that. He's an ascended master. Okay? So, thank you so much again for tuning in. This seems to be about the average that me sharing this is running. It's running about 60 minutes. I apologize. And yet, I hope that I share all that I need to share in that moment in time. And yeah. And again, for you who I met online recently, please do reach out. I did share with you the way that you can reach out to me. That's via my email. And I fail so many times at sharing what that email is. It's theencourager333@gmail. Okay? And so thank you so much for tuning in. You've been tuned into The Encourager. And this is the last day of the month, I believe, and January 31. So 1/31/24. I hope it's off to a great start. Your year. I hope you've had a first great month. Again, like Kobe said, the error in our thought process is that we have more time. Okay, so let's be about our business. Let's do our healing, our childhood wound healing, our adult wound healing. Let's get focused on ourselves, open up our chakras, meditate, crystals, walk outside, get grounded, whatever it is that you need to do in order to live your best possible 2024. Okay? My name is Nehru. You've been tuned into The Encourager.